Greetings, my friends. I want to thank you all for subscribing to this channel. If you are a subscriber, please check to make sure that you are still subscribed because YouTube unsubscribes people every day. And if you have not subscribed, please consider supporting this channel. We could use your help in our war to save pop culture. Thank you and enjoy the video. My friends, the rot that we have experienced in Star Wars for the last 5 or 6 years, ever since Disney acquired it, can now be traced back to one person, Kathleen Kennedy. That's right, Kathleen Kennedy, as we all suspected, has been the one behind the decline and destruction of Star Wars as we have known it. There has been a breach in the wall of secrecy around this garbage, as former Walt Disney World VP Dan Cockerell has gone ahead and spoken up at last about what really happened with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. As it turns out, for the longest time, the intention was to make the Star Wars theme park Star Wars. They were going to base it on the original trilogy, and the whole thing was going to basically be Mos Eisley Space Port, the obvious choice, the smart choice, the choice that would have delighted every Star Wars fan out there. But Kathleen Kennedy thinks that original Star Wars is just for 50-somethings, and Kathleen Kennedy has nothing but contempt for 50-somethings despite being a 60-something herself. Walt Disney World VP Dan Cockerell reveals at last the chain of dysfunction that spawned the unholy abomination and waste of space and waste of time and waste of a franchise that is Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. These are Cockerell's own words, I'm quoting. And I want to thank our own Itchy Bacca himself from his Disney Star Wars is dumb.wordpress.com site for alerting me to this atrocity. We had just purchased Lucasfilm, and it started to become the talk about, okay, if we're going to bring Star Wars to life, where are we going to do that? And Disney's Hollywood Studios ended up being the place, because that's where A, it seemed to fit the best, and it was the park that needed the update the most to replace some of the experiences. So we worked on that project for a couple of years. There were artists looking at layouts of the park. You just get a big aerial view and you get a big magic marker and you start saying, well, what if this was here? Or what if that was there? So you start blocking off these big chunks of space, and that kind of drills all the way down. And you keep going until you get to the attraction level and what the offerings are. And so we did it for a couple of years. And we had the Epic Theater, you know, the Indiana Jones Theater, that was going to be the heart of Star Wars land. That was going to go away, and we were going to plug it right in there. The Mos Eisley Cantina was going to be right across from Star Tours. We had all kinds of great concepts with that. We'd gotten way down the path on our drawings, but we hadn't gotten into architectural drawings or anything. And then we got a call one day. They said, hey, we got some news for you all. And the Imagineering guys, they've heard this line many, many times during their careers, but I had never been through this. They said, well, yesterday, Bob Iger met with Kathleen Kennedy, who a lot of people may know is sort of George Lucas's protege, and headed up Lucasfilm. And they had a conversation, a meeting. And Kathleen Kennedy, her point of view was that there are way more Disney Star Wars stories ahead of us than behind us. So we should really think about, do we want to build a Tatooine and build what all of the 50-somethings remember Star Wars as? Or do we want to build something else which is going to appeal to all the upcoming generations who are going to know the new stories? And that day, Tatooine was killed at the studios. And all those concepts were put on a shelf, and I'm sure they're sitting in a vault, and I'm sure they're going to be shown someday about what that land would have looked like and what the attractions were going to be. The Imagineering team, we got off the phone, and I was like, can you guys believe this? And they said, this is terrible. We've been working on this. I said, what's next? And they said, well, we get on a call tomorrow and start over. I said, that's it? They said, go out tonight, go have a few beers, cry on your drink, come back tomorrow, and we're starting again. They had been through this before. They know that until it's signed and until you start breaking ground that none of these projects are guaranteed. Now here's where the man goes ahead and puts the requisite positive spin on a story like this. You know, when you go ahead and you break silence about what really went on and expose the true culprits behind a disastrous decision that has absolutely cost the company God knows how much money. I have no idea, but this thing has been a disaster. A complete fucking disaster. A corner of Star Wars that nobody's ever seen, nobody gives a damn about. It's mostly a bar that nobody wants to drink in, except that they do out of desperation to forget that they spent all that money to go to Galaxy's Edge. The disappointed looks on the kids' faces. Oh my God, it's just basically one big goddamn commercial with a couple of half-ass rides, one of which often doesn't work. Sound like a vacation to you? Costs a lot, so it better. This is what the positive end of this article is. They came back the next day and acted just as excited as they were 2 years earlier. I was really impressed by their optimism, and they dug into it, and that's what you see today. And so once again, Kathleen Kennedy has put her pointy-heeled boot into the heart of Star Wars. Once again, Kathleen Kennedy has stuck her damn nose where it didn't belong, where she had no business making any decisions because all of her instincts are wrong. Star Wars is in the shoddy, sorry state that it is today because of Kathleen Kennedy. This is proof, right from the mouth of the Walt Disney World VP, who was there on the spot giving a first-hand account of the truth of what went on. The horrible, horrible mismanagement and idiotic decision that resulted in a Star Wars park without any Star Wars in it. And is it any wonder that nobody wants to go to this damn thing, wants to see it, wants to experience it? It's a complete waste of time. Thanks, Kathleen. What a swell job you did. You are a real champ. This is mind-blowing, folks. At last, we know that the genesis of this idea came from Kathleen Kennedy selling it to Bob Iger. Was Iger Kennedy's yes man? It seems that way. And look at what it has gotten him. Letting Kennedy run roughshod over him because of Me Too or whatever other little reason she's got compromat on him, or, he fears some kind of Me Too backlash or feminist kind of complaining if they actually do their job for shareholders and get rid of the woman that's been an anchor on the Star Wars franchise since Disney acquired it. When you fail to nip something like that in the bud, you get these leaks from Lindsay Headland, or whatever her name is, whoever did this leak. We don't know who did it, but come on. Somebody high up had to sign off on it, and could that somebody be named Kennedy? If it's a shitty idea, it has her fingerprints all over it. Let's be honest. Kathleen Kennedy has been nothing but a plague on the fertile fields of Disney. A swarm of SJW feminist locusts that have stripped the Star Wars crop bare. How do we strike back against this? We strike back by keeping our wallets closed. We strike back against being called old 50-somethings when really all we are is fans, young and old alike. There is no way to build a fandom on tepid, watered-down garbage, and that is all we've gotten under the reign of Kathleen Kennedy. The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, who in their right minds can call this compelling entertainment? It is placeholder garbage. It is mediocre, watered-down leftovers of that galaxy far, far away that gets farther and farther away every single day that Kennedy is allowed to keep destroying Lucasfilm. Wonder where Star Wars Galaxy's Edge came from? No more, people. It comes from her. There with her are you. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry.
Ha 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 ha.